Shoot, our studio audience is out of control. Dan Lightfoot is telling jokes out here. No, he's talking about our trip.
Yeah.
There was a nice old man on there who gave me a hug and a kiss at the end of the trip, man. It was just one of
He
those
must have caught
moments.
so many fish.
I hope he has a comment tonight.
Yeah.
You know? Because, I want to refer him over to PD over in wherever it is, Ventura. Just kidding. What's up, man? Happy New Year.
Happy New
How
Year.
are you?
Good.
We got a great
Good.
studio audience tonight. Anna is here. That is Tyler's daughter. Anna, thank you for being here. Great to have you here. And Doug from Tennessee, the University of Tennessee, by the way. Great to have you here. Dan, we had a great trip on the Island Spirit. It was a lot of fun. We probably get some comments from you. Doug Kilk, or Doug Tilt.
Kilt.
Yeah, whatever it is. Kilt, yeah. Doug is here as always, and Michael Limon, I'm sure, is looking for a bucket so he can be the backdrop for our show tonight. Mm-hmm. You know what? I'm pretty amazed. Fishing's really good. Still pretty good.
Still. Yeah,
We'll cover all the long-range boats with you guys, let you know what's going on there. There was some yellows down in La Jolla. There was some sea bass on the Ghost out of 22nd Street.
New boat for him, yeah.
Sean Roberts, we'll talk a little bit about that. And then I saw white sea bass caught on the Aloha Spirit first thing this morning. We had great fishing and saw orcas on board the, the Island Spirit.
Yes.
We had a great time. And this is our official New Year's Eve party tonight where we're going to go eat wings. And I hear you're not going to show.
I'll be there and I'm gone. Yeah, I got to pick up some wings and I got to go.
You're breaking Anna's heart.
I know, I'm so sorry.
Do you think she's going to break into tears, or she's just going to see those chicken wings?
Extra
I don't care if Sam's here or not.
Extra wings for her, yeah.
What do I care? All right, good stuff. Hey, hit that like button, everybody. By the way, I have been told that Caden Klein from Lake Wales, Florida, is joining us for the first time ever watching Tackle Shop Confessions. So Sam and I send you all our very, very best. And already quite a few comments are coming through. I think I told you, Sam. In fact, I know I did. A guy from Taiwan sent me a knife, a potbelly knife. Mm-hmm. And I had Daniel Huddaway try it on the boat, the captain of the Island Spirit. He loved it. He said, man, this thing. And I put it up literally 1 minute later. These guys are sending me, how do I get one of those? Alan Jones and a couple other guys. So I sent the guy who brought it to me, I go, hey, better get a hold of Mr. Yan and see what we can do here. I think we got a business going here. So good stuff. What's new here at the shop? Are you open New Year's Eve tomorrow?
Yeah, we'll be here just a couple hours. The guys that just want to get some last minute stuff. I mean, not a whole lot more fishing to be done after tomorrow, at least with the rockfish. Still be some other coastal stuff, bass and some sculpin and things like that. But I'm pretty sure some guys are going to probably still go fishing this weekend and maybe get some stuff for some of the local lakes, some trout fishing and catfish and things like that. So we're going to be open till about 2 o'clock is what we're planning. And usually by that time, guys are getting home for their, New Year's Eve type of thing. So we give a couple hours to get their gear for the weekend.
And I know that rockfish is going to be out of the picture, but shoot, the Native Son's going to do their halibut derby kind of thing.
See how that goes, yeah.
There's been great nighttime bass fishing, twilight fishing on the new Del Mar. Mm-hmm. The El Patron is going to continue to run. So guys are gearing up and going to fish hard, it sounds like to me.
Yeah, as long as it's available, I'm sure, and typically by this time of year, we're getting some of these wintertime storms that just hasn't really materialized yet. So, we'll see what happens with that. But sometimes, by this time of year, guys are just kind of trying to stay off the water mostly. But as long as we got this good weather, for the most part, I would say it'd be a good idea to go fishing. All that squid around too, that seems to be already kind of providing some other good rewards. Although I was talking to somebody this morning, it seems like right where the squid are, you would think that there's good fishing there.
Normally.
But it's other places. And there's just so much of that squid,
They're full or whatever.
Who knows, yeah. But there's a lot of squid everywhere.
Tons.
So that's going to be something that we're going to keep an eye on, and I'm sure he's going to be providing us some good fishing here the next few weeks at least.
I'm looking for content all the time, as you know, and in previous years, I'm like, man, I could really use some squid video. Mm-hmm. I got squid video coming out my ears right now.
At the moment, I'm sure.
Yeah, I got the, Sainers, some guys, Matt, out there sending me stuff all the time, which I still want. It's cool stuff. But really good stuff. By the way, did you hear we saw those orcas?
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
So Ryan on the Pescador out of Redondo called us. I was up in the wheelhouse with Daniel, and he said, hey, we just had a Shamu show here a while ago, so keep your eyes open. So I'm like, hey, I want some video of that, man. Let's go. So we just kept scouting, and then all of a sudden Daniel goes, "Hey, I think there they are." So we went over. It was cool.
Yeah.
They weren't too friendly, and I haven't told, I haven't told everybody, but the scientist, Alicia Schulman-Janiger, reached out to me today. I've been working with her. She knew, she could identify the whale. That sounded like it was her long-lost brother. He's 26 years old and, was in a bar fight last week and knew the whole story. So she said, you don't get to see those whales that often. They're pretty kind of enigmatic in a way. So it was great, man. It was another great thing to see.
Maybe he was trying to get on the boat, but there's no more room.
Yeah, that was a little crowded on there. Yeah. Dan, you shouldn't have done that. So that was good stuff. Hit that like button. Island Spirit, Ventura Harbor Sport Fishing, 805-676-3474.
They're running all weekend, I'm sure, right?
I think they're running tomorrow, but
Tomorrow
something weird is going on. But yeah, let's just assume they are, and you can give them a call. And by the way, all you folks up there at Ventura, that was Doug Tilk, who turned his back around. He's wearing the Island Spirit reminder advertisement for us. Man, there's a lot of comments on here already. I thought we were going to be able to skip right to the chicken wings, so poor Anna doesn't have to listen to all this fish nonsense. She's already bored out of her mind, which is an indication her got a high IQ.
I'm bored.
Let me tell you that right now. She's not listening to this. You want me to read some of these?
Let's go, yeah.
All right, here we go. We're starting with Kim Herbert, and Kim is in Missouri, right?
Yes.
Kim, good to see you, my friend.
Mary to Utah or something like that, or
no? That's Patrick Harnjack.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, you got to keep these audience under control. Kim says, "Merry belated Christmas and Happy New Year." Same to you, Kim. It is so nice to have you here. Toke 3, what is it?
Token Boy.
Token Boy. No matter what you struggle with, you can go to heaven just by believing that Jesus died and rose again for you. I don't mind reading this. He's willing to accept you as you are and doesn't need you to change. Sam, there's hope for you still, man. Let me tell you. Boy. And Dan Lightfoot, I don't know.
So all those guys that are trying to
might be pushing it for Jesus a little bit. Let me tell you.
Keep trying to change that guy.
Mike Krinkovich, the cranker. Whoop, whoop, Happy New Year. You wacky sunshine guys. The cranker says, let's get it on, boys.
Get it on.
Wow.
All right.
The cranker, and that nickname comes from Scott Bucher, believe it or not. It honestly does. OC Farmer, any tan 90Js. You know what that means?
So, yeah, let me go look to see.
Thank God somebody here knows what it means, because it's got to be a rod blank, I'm guessing. Right, Michael? What's new with you? While Sam is over there? Stand up, take a bow to the audience. Give me a hug. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Everything good with you? We missed you on the trip. Wish you would have been there. You were sick?
Yeah.
Are you okay now?
Yeah.
You're not going to give me some crap, are you? Okay, thank you. All right, Sam is running down whatever that is. What is it? The Tan 90JS. Do you know what that is, Tyler? I'd be surprised if you didn't know.
CalStar Blank.
CalStar Blank. You bet we've got him, OC Farmer. Look at that. That's what I call one heck of a 90JS.
90J.
Is that what it is? 90J. Sorry. 90Js. Oh, plural. Sorry, yes. Some school teacher I was. These guys
teaching English over here, huh?
Yeah, really. I'm really done. So what are you going to do? Are you just going to hold it, or are you going to talk about it? Or what? You just wanted to prove to the guy you got it?
I wanted to know if we have it. Yeah. And I think since I have it in my hand, I didn't want to say
that proved the point?
Oh, yes, we do have it.
Yeah. Well, do you want to talk about what it looks like a jig stick, right?
You don't know what a 90J is?
Oh, hell no.
You don't know.
I don't know any of these numbers.
So 90J, probably one of the most popular jig rods ever made in the history of jig rods. Tyler's coming on board for that. And for a lot of guys, it's a rod that will be considered, for the first kind of jig length is not bad, because it'll kind of do everything. It's not too long, but it's long enough. It's not too heavy, but you can pull on a big fish if you wanted. So pretty nice jig length. For a lot of guys, it's traditionally their first jig rod, and so it's a pretty popular one there. And in this tan color, not always available, so we do have some.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Hey, KJ from Mag 12 Swim Baits. I'm pretty sure that's who that is. He's calling me Fred and you Sal, but what the hell? Fred and Sal, how are you doing? Heading back up north to fish on the Rita G. Yeah, he was on there on my sponsored trip in 2 days in a row. Awesome. Awesome fishing. Limits of chilies, reds, and beautiful hits on the lingcod. I ran many of those photos today on the morning briefing. It really looked good, man. Why are you smiling? No,
I'm just happy to be here,
me
man.
too. Me too.
I'll try not to smile. Sorry.
No. Please do. Most people like break out laughing when they look at me normally, so I'm happy. A smile is better. Real Fishing, Caden here. All right, Caden.
So who's Caden?
Caden Klein is a relative of Chad Klein, who came here and cooked one night.
Oh yeah.
And he's a very loyal patron
yeah.
of yours. Caden, it's good to have you here. Thank you so much from Lake Wales, Florida. You ever been to Lake Wales?
I was just there.
How was it?
It was great.
Do
Of
they have whales there?
Yeah.
Ballenas,
Orcas.
huh? Orcas. All right. Hey, thank you so much for being here. KJ says that was meant to say Phil and not Fred. Damn Google Voice. Don't worry about it, man. We're laughing about it. We're good. And I think I jumped past a ton of people.
You're all over the place.
Man, I got to stop drinking these energy drinks. Let me tell you. Geez, there's a ton
Steve
of.
Knees.
Yeah, I see it. Steve Knees. Good evening to the both of you. I want to wish you a happy new year. I look forward to being back in the new year.
Back to work.
What's up with Steve? Is he hurt or something?
Knee surgery.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Steve, I hope you're feeling better soon, my friend. KJ says, we have to get you up there at Verge's. I want you to check it out. Beautiful views and awesome fishing. I'll be there, KJ. I'll drag Michael Limon and, hey, Doug Tilk will go.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Some really good rock fishing up there.
I know. It's good. I fished up there quite a bit in my younger years. Frank Applegate, Phil and Sam, Happy New Year. Thank you so much, Frank. Really great to have you here with us. Q-Ball says, happy holiday, fellas. Q-Ball, good to have you here. Kim Herbert wants to know, do you have any of the 2025 Friedman trip calendar? Yes, I do, Kim. If you have my my phone number, send me a text. If you don't have it, here it is, 657-227-6459. We have a 5-day trip in April. We have a reverse 2.5-day trip in June. We got an 8-day trip in November. We got a 2-day trip in September out of San Diego on the Apollo. We got a whole bunch of trips, and I'll send you the list. Tyler Tanaka, he could have just yelled out the question, but he's too polite to do that. Love it, Tyler. Hey, Sam. Notice he never asked me any really probing questions because he knows I don't have the answer. It's always you. Hey, Sam, for my winter tackle work, do you sell tools for making wind-on leaders? Hollow needles, reverse latches, hollow core by the foot, etc. By the way, Tyler's going to be doing, what's the name of the segment?
Whatever we call it.
Yeah, whatever we call it. But you came up with, you pitched one name.
Oh, you want tips from Tyler?
Tips from
There you
Tyler.
go. That's a
That
good
just
one.
rolls off the tongue,
Yes.
man. Tips from Tyler. I like it.
He's
He's
going
going
to
to
be Tuesday. It could be TT Tuesday.
There you go. Yeah, no more Taco Tuesday, man. It's tips from Tyler on whatever. What
Kind of probing question would you like for us to ask you?
Oh, I don't want to get into that, man. We'll be talking about old guys jumping me up in the parking lot in Ventura.
So we do have all of that, needles and all the different needles, the hollow stuff. And the only thing I don't have is bobbins, the proper kind of bobbins that guys will sometimes use for that kind of work. But usually I refer them to the, I know that there's a bunch of those bobbins that they use for doing bowstrings. I think those are the better ones that are out there.
I got mine from Basil.
Yeah, I know Shimano makes a really good one, and there's a couple different ones out there, but we do have all of the other stuff here.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Tyler. Chad Christopher, that is Caden Klein's something or other. Uncle, I think.
Uncle, yeah.
Sam and Phil, Real Fishing is my nephew. Welcome to Friedman Adventures Family and Tackle Shop Confessions. Chad is putting together a video, or he has put it together. He needs to edit it on a beautiful recipe. I forget what it is, on the rockfish we caught up there in the Channel Islands. So we'll be airing that quickly. What is it? BSI? Rec? Question for Sam. What is the best connection of tying a single-strand titanium leader from a Wahoo bomb to your main line, Sam?
Well, typically you'll have a swivel on the end of that wire leader. Now I personally am using the 90-pound 7-strand wire through a Wahoo bomb myself. But if you are, let's say, doing a if you wanted to do a single strand leader, I would just crimp a swivel on the end of that leader and then tie to your main line after that. So I wouldn't directly connect the two. I don't know if there's a really, really good knot for that. The wire is going to be just too stiff, and I probably wouldn't really trust it tying it against a mono or fluorocarbon. I would just put a swivel in between those. A barrel swivel would be fine. A really small one, something that's probably rated about 100 pounds or something like that, pretty small, and that'd probably be the best way. And as far as just making that connection, however you put it onto the bomb, I guess you can just replicate that. I personally would just do a crimp, a smaller crimp, depending on the size wire. Obviously, you use a appropriate size crimp.
All right, excellent question.
90 pound because less than that, just you get chewed off and broken.
So Tyler was asking why I use the 90 pound, and to me that's just what has always been used in the industry. As far as like the pre-made bombs, they come with 90-pound wires, so I just keep using the same stuff. I found it to be, getting bit just as good as 60-pound or anything else. Although I would imagine 60-pound and even lighter might be something you might try for getting bites. I'm sure wahoo is just like any other fish where sometimes they're biting wide open and they'll bite anything, but sometimes they are finicky. And so you might try that too. But I will say that even the 90-pound wire, I've had them bite through the 90-pound wire. So you're always going to be just like anytime you go down in line size, you're running the risk of hooking and then losing a fish too. But sometimes it's better to hook them and lose them than not to hook any at all too. So, but that's just the way I've done it. And typically nowadays, what a lot of guys do is they're using those Captain Jimmy style bombs where you have a loop at the front of your bomb, and what a lot of guys doing instead of using a smaller wire is they're going to a heavy fluoro. So 130-pound to 200-pound fluoro is kind of like the size. And I personally have seen that get bit better at times than the wire. So to me, that's probably the way I would probably go to try to get a bite. But what he's doing with that titanium wire, so the titanium wire is going to be even thinner in size than a comparable size stranded wire, so that might be something to try as well. But personally, just from what I've seen work already, I haven't seen a whole lot of guys use the titanium. That might be a thing you might try, but I know that the heavy fluoro for sure I've seen work.
All right, go ahead, Tyler. Oh, I thought you had a
Because it's so expensive.
Well, he was asking about the money. The titanium wire is more expensive compared to stainless wire. I don't know if it's a whole lot more expensive than, let's say, heavy fluoro. But also, too, I think that guys already have heavy fluoro a lot of times on those kind of trips. If you're on a trip that's targeting wahoo more, then likely you're on a trip in which maybe you're also targeting big tuna. And so you may already have some of that heavy fluoro, so that might be a reason that guys are using it. But, I can't see a reason really not to use that titanium wire, except for that I just haven't tried it yet, so I couldn't really tell you whether or not it's a good choice. But, I would say give it a shot. And the connection would be, I would say, through a swivel and then crimped on with a single barrel crimp.
All right, excellent stuff. Very good. Rob S., Happy New Year. Go. What do you think that means?
That's Irish.
Go Irish.
When are they playing?
They're playing on the 1st,
Oh,
5:30
okay.
in the evening at the Sugar Bowl in
Oh,
New
wow.
Orleans against
cool.
Georgia. We got this.
You think so?
I don't know. It's
I don't
going to be
think
a
so.
very tough
How many
game.
bets you got on this one?
I got no bets on this.
Really? Oh, wow. I wonder where that is.
I'm a little nervous on this
Nervous?
one. A little bit.
Well, if you...
Make Scott pay for it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Yeah, he lost a whole bunch of money the other day again. Poor Scott. Yeah, Scott Bucher. Martin M. By the way, Rob S. Right on. Go Irish. Go Irish. Martin M. To the Danny Wade of Carson. You ever been called that before?
I have not.
To the Danny Wade of Carson
know about
and the
that.
walking encyclopedia fish. Thanks for sharing all your insight and info through the year. Happy New Year, Guy. Martin M., thank you so much.
Oh, wow.
That's
I don't
quite
know
a
about that.
compliment.
Yeah, I don't know
love
about
it.
that, man.
You don't like Danny Wade?
I don't know about being compared to that guy. Knows a lot.
Yeah, Danny is good, right?
Yeah.
KJ says, don't worry about that, KJ. He's apologizing for calling you Sal and me, Fred, and we've been called a lot worse, believe me. Sniper Gene, hi, Sam and Phil. Thank God he gets our name right. Sam, I have a Phoenix Megalodon and a Shimano Osha Jigger 4000 for my vertical jigging setup. Can I also use this for yo-yo fishing for yellowtail?
Yeah, I think you'd be fine. I mean, obviously, depending on which Megalodon you have, I mean, they make different sizes. I mean, if you have one of the heavier ones, I think you'd be okay. on that OSHA jigger. The one thing to consider is, like personally for mine, the one that I have, it's the lower gear one, which I still think would probably be okay. But if you have the higher gear one, I think you'd be would be fine. But even in that lower gear, it's not that low. It's a 4.5 to 1. Being that it's a taller spool, I think you'd be just fine. So yeah, I would say you'd be okay with it. The one thing you're still going to have to contend with is that if you do hook a fish that goes under the boat, excuse me, sometimes it is tougher to deal with that. But with the yellowtail, you don't have as much of that problem as you do with a big tuna, but that can still be a thing. So if that's all you have, I think that'd be fine. I personally would still fish a little bit longer rod, at least a 7-foot rod, if not an 8-foot rod. And what that does is that when you do hook a fish, is you can kind of just leave the rod on the rail and just kind of just crank that fish up. And if it wants to go into the boat, you can kind of continue to leave the rod on the rail because it'll kind of bow out a little farther. So that would be my recommendation. But that being said, if you have one of those heavier ones, I think you'd be fine.
All right, good stuff. Isaac says, good evening and Happy New Year, everyone. Isaac was with his son, Ethan, on Saturday, fishing out of Dana Wharf, sport fishing. They had a really good time together.
Nice.
Looked like they caught a lot of rockfish. And we'll go into some of the fishing here when we get a break in the questions. But like I say, man, those 5-day trips are scoring yellowfin tuna. That yellowfin's still
there.
Yeah, it's down a little bit further.
A little bit further, yeah, but it's there.
It's there, and it's biting, man. It's full speed, and there's
speed.
yellows on the coast, so good stuff. You know, that La Nina this year was supposed to be really a huge, and it never materialized. In fact, if you look at the ANSOs and everything, it stayed kind of neutral almost.
Yeah.
And so, it never got that cold. So there you go. Frank Applegate, Phil and Sam, Happy New Year, and tight lines in the new year. Frank, we send you all our very best. Happy New Year, my friend. Live free, die free. Evening, Sam, Phil, and the Friedman Adventures family. Thank you so much. Michael Limon says, good evening, Phil, Sam, and the Friedman Adventures family. And KJ says, I'm driving. I'm so sorry.
Oh, okay.
Don't worry about it, KJ.
No problem.
No more apologies. And Isaac sends a $20 bill and says, you are amazing. He's got to be talking about me, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, right. Probably not.
Especially the little dance there.
And KJ is back again. He's going to really, he's got it in for Google Voice. KJ, calm down. We're okay, man. You just called him Sal and me Fred. Like I say, it could have been a lot worse. Don't worry about it. All right, Calico Chris says, hello, Friedman Adventures family. Happy holidays, Chris. Good to see you here tonight. Go get some wings for the last show. It is the last show of 2024. He's so right. Thank you for all the great info. How do you feel about that? Grateful? It's over finally?
I thought it was over last
Can we
week.
take some months off? Yeah, really. All right. Well, you're not going for the wings, though, once again.
Not today.
I'm not going to get in between you and your lovely family, so I can't do that.
No.
I could, actually.
You could try. It ain't going to work.
I know, really. How about Anna, who drove 4 hours to be here?
Yeah, I feel bad
It's
about
really
that
2
one.
hours,
she'll have to
but
come
the
back.
traffic was horrible.
She'll have to come back.
Anna, are you willing to come back? When do you go back to Tennessee?
Friday.
You remind me a lot of my niece. You look like Connie a lot, so I'll have to show you a photo of her tonight.
You got that going for you.
All right, we're going to get some. Thank you so much. And Chris, hey, Chris Rank wants to know, did anyone hear about a new boater's license reg for 2025?
Haven't heard of that.
You haven't heard anything? Okay. I haven't either. Tony Gonzalez says, good evening, everyone. Phil, where is it going to be available, the video that Mike Folks saw? I saw the podcast you made with him. Tony, if you go on the website and search Michael Folks' history of sport fishing, it should pop up. If it doesn't, send me a text tonight and I'll send you the link, okay? 657-227-6459. Just send me a text and I promise probably tomorrow morning I'll get you the link so you can enjoy that. But I think if you search it, you should be good. Jay,
It should be right next to the video of the 8-day, right?
oh yeah,
That's right.
How'd you know that was ready?
Yeah, it has to be because it's Christmas already passed last
Christmas
week.
2025.
Yeah, and so 2024.
Don't you start. Do you know how many of those messages I get from Scott
I don't
Buchert
care.
every day? Where's that?
Today's the first one for me.
I go, hey, pay up
Yeah.
your debt, Scott. I can't pull that on you.
No.
Yeah. We're working on that. Doug, when am I going to have that ready?
2026?
2026, he's batting. That's the
Yeah,
over-under.
Yeah.
You're going over, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny. All right, Jay Moore. That is John Moore, 65. You know John?
Maybe.
John's a great guy. You know, everybody here knows him. John, great to see you with us tonight, my friend. It's been way too long. Make sure you say hi to Dennis for me, and I hope he's recuperating and getting better. Is it Biswick? That's good enough for me. Question again for Sam. Sam, what kind of leader to make for trolling wahoo? What kind of terminal tackle, wire, or leader?
So for trolling leaders, typically you're going to go with at least that 275 stranded wire, either the 7-strand or the 49-strand. And as far as your terminal stuff, just a regular swivel, nothing really specific there. I mean, you could put on a ball bearing swivel if you wanted, but I just use kind of a size 4.0 size a barrel swivel is what I use. Now, some guys on some boats, and I've seen it pretty often, and once again, I've seen it work sometimes better, is that they'll use a heavy mono or a heavy fluoro on some of their trolling jigs, and I've seen a few guys lose them, but I have seen where maybe that jig gets bit a little bit better, and guys are using like 400-pound mono or 400-pound fluoro, and I have seen that work a little bit better, and mostly what I've seen is guys using that on those Nomad DTXs, those larger DTXs for trolling. And on the other side, they're just also just using a swivel as well. So nothing really complicated about that, except for maybe using a little bit heavier duty swivel maybe because of the impact. And then also too is a lot of those places where you are fishing for wahoo, you might hook a 100-pound tuna or even something bigger. So that would be the reason for the heavy stuff. But 275, I think, would be the most common size that I would recommend.
Rob S. is up with the question. Rob, you're not allowed to ask a question without saying go Irish from now on. Please, come on. There's not that many of us. Jeremiah Love's going to run for over 100 yards. Notre Dame is going to run it down Georgia's freaking throat. Oh, sorry. I got a little carried away.
How much money do you have on
Yeah,
that?
really.
Put your money where your mouth is, they say, huh?
Rob S. says, what would be a good economical setup for deepwater rockfish and cod fishing locally?
Well, I mean, your biggest concern there is going to be probably using some braid, but I mean, you can get away with, a jig master, to be honest with you. The more economic you go, the less smooth it is, the little bit harder it is to wind up a heavy weight. So economic setup, that's going to obviously depend on how you qualify that. Is it, $60? Going to be kind of tough. You're going to have to look for something used, and there's some stuff out there. More realistic, it's going to be more like around $200 to $250 for what I would consider a modern rod and reel, and you can get away with something like that. And
$250 for the rod and the reel?
Yeah, I would say
that's reasonable.
But for some people, that's wouldn't be considered economical. They're
Yeah, I
looking
understand
for
that.
$100 or less.
Yeah.
And what you're going to notice is definitely when you're going to be using a heavier sinker and some of this deep water stuff, that not so much the shallow stuff, but the deep water stuff, when you're going to be using a heavy weight, a 1-pound weight, or even sometimes a 2-pound weight, if you get into maybe what you guys were doing in that hidden reef, using I know were you guys using a 1-pound weight or mostly
16 to 24 ounces,
yeah,
like
so
that.
over a pound.
Yeah.
You get a couple 5-pound reds on there. You're going to notice the difference between a modern reel and an older reel.
Yeah.
And especially if you get into something that, somebody who hasn't been fishing a whole lot, it's going to be even more work, because it's just going to be harder to turn the handle. So if I was going to look at something like that, maybe like you can get into a sea line, Daiwa sea line. I think those are about $130, $140 brand new. Put some like 20 or 30-pound braid on that. And then, every company, Daiwa, Shimano, they offer like about $100 rod or something like that, 7 foot, probably be all right. And but that light braid is probably going to be the one area that most guys will say, well, just put mono on there. I want to save money. But the braid, what that's going to do for you is that because it's a lot skinnier, is you can get down with a lot less weight. So that's going to save you not only just the effort of having to use so much weight, but the weight's going to be less, which is going to be cheaper because more lead costs more money.
Yeah.
So that's the route I would take.
All right, good stuff. Question for the audience, and then I will have Sam answer it. Please, everybody out there. Would Sam De La Torre use an electric reel, or would he opt to use the manual reel? Place your bets. What do you think as you're thinking about it, Sam?
PC fun.
Would you use an electric reel?
As a changed man, I say.
Yeah, I'll use whatever. Yeah.
I mean, would you use? I mean, on every rock, are you going with an electric reel?
No, I'm not doing anything for everything for all the time for anything.
Really?
Yeah, I don't see that that's an answer that anybody would do.
You mean like being honest?
Yeah, that's I'm being honest. Yeah.
No, I'm saying, would you be honest all the time? You said you wouldn't do anything all the
Yeah,
time.
I try to be
Well,
honest
there
all
you
the time,
are. There's
yeah.
one. There's
Yeah.
one thing you would do all
Yeah.
the time.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so would you use an electric reel all the time?
No.
Okay.
No.
That's different.
Yeah. Well, you asked me again. I said no. You're like no. And I said no. You're like really no?
No,
And
but I
said,
mean, there's
"Okay,
some
well,
guy like Doug. Would you ever?
If a
you're
one-word
never
answer is not enough, I guess I just had to elaborate.
Doug, are
on
you
what
ever
no
going
meant.
out an electric reel? Never.
Well, I'll always have it with me.
Yeah.
But 2 or 3 times down, even with the 2-speed, as you get older in life,
Yes.
that's a lot of cranking.
There you go.
Versus
Yeah.
you got somebody sitting next to you going,
Yeah, I know
it's like,
exactly.
"Man, I
Yeah.
gotta get one of those."
Yeah, Doug's saying how easy it looks when you're standing next to somebody who's got an electric
And
reel.
actually, this past week and a half,
Yeah.
we've sold more electric reels this
Really?
past week and a half than we have all year.
Really?
Which is interesting to me because
Rockfish season is getting
yeah,
ready to
it's
close.
about to close. You know, I mean, and right when it went to the deep water in September, whenever that was, that's when I thought, guys do it one time and they're like, oh, screw this, I need an electric reel. And I thought we were going to sell a bunch back then, and we didn't. We sold a few, but we sold a bunch this last week. So I think guys were getting in their last trip,
And then thinking about April.
and then also too, maybe they did fish once, and then they didn't do it again until this last week. And
Yeah.
so,
Second time broke them.
yeah. So
Yeah,
after
yeah.
doing it once, yeah. So I mean, so there's other areas too, or maybe some of that jigging, that deep water jigging. I probably would still do that with the regular rod and reel, but
Yeah.
if it was just meat fishing with a 2-pound weight and something like that,
Push the button.
If someone said, hey, you can borrow this, I'd probably use it. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
we probably had a dozen again on
Oh,
there,
yeah.
people doing it, and it's pretty cool actually.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it. And there was I don't want to say that. There was a lady on there who was a little bit advanced age, not too bad in case she's listening, but she, and just had a great time, man, catching these big reds and everything else. So it was great.
Yeah.
Jonathan Jones, Happy New Year's. 2024 was great. Phil, your grandson and my great-grandson getting a new boat in a few days.
wow.
Hey, that's great. I didn't know anything about it. Phil, do you think the surge of anchovies will finally bring the albacore? So, I had a conversation today with my albacore expert, Bob Osborne, who's he's honestly is a fisheries expert. He's gone down this freaking rabbit hole now. I'm starting to think he's nuts. He's talking about the astrological, like Neptune is going to be here and Jupiter is going to be here. And I went back and looked at when the albacore bit, and Jupiter was here, and they're going to all collide. And so, the answer is yes, because Jupiter.
Did you used to sell insurance?
I did.
I see how you're shedding the liability.
I did,
of this now
actually.
Here, yeah. You have nothing to do with this ever. You would have never ever.
Did you know I sold insurance? I actually
I
did.
just found out.
I
Yeah.
actually did for a while, like 2 years of that, before I left for Mexico again. Couldn't take it.
I wasn't there. It didn't happen.
Yeah, right.
Wasn't our fault.
I didn't put a binder on that
Yeah,
account.
yeah.
The guy that slipped and fell, you had no insurance. That's not
Yeah,
my fault.
yeah.
I'm out of here. Ken Trenholm, hello, Friedman Adventures family. Happy New Year to all. Ken, my best to your mom also. Hope we see you on a trip this year. That'll be great. Isaac, Sam, it's early. Any details on the shows coming up? Hall shows at the end of the month. Whoa, that's sneaking up on us.
Yeah, it's literally 1 month away. It should be the same as always. A good time. Go down there to the Long Beach show. The one big kind of news this year, and I'm not sure if it's going to be fully developed this year quite yet, but Bass Pro Shops is slated to be there, so that's kind of a big deal.
I don't think they've ever been there, have they?
As far as I remember, I don't
No.
think they've ever been there. And so that's going to be a new deal, and I think they're planning to make it even a bigger deal next year, and so we'll see how that goes. So that's kind of cool. As far as us being there, so it's us and Bob Sands and Turner's. I think I heard of maybe 1 or 2 other shops maybe going, so there's going to be more people selling. I know that for
You mean
us,
more than the previous year?
Yeah, more than
Oh,
last
okay.
year. Yeah, as far as retailers.
Yeah.
I think that for me, one of the things that I'm going to be doing a little bit different is that I'm planning to take a little bit more in the way of rod building stuff. I know that was one area that we kind of didn't take as much to the Long Beach show as we did to the PCS show, and guys were asking for that. And so we're going to take some more of that this year, more blanks primarily. That's probably the big deal. But as far as our booth is concerned, from what I hear, some of the other booths are going a little bit bigger too. So, last year was actually pretty good for us. I know talking to the reps and the manufacturers, you get mixed kind of reviews as to what they thought the success of the show was. As far as guys coming through the booth and buying stuff, it was good for us. And so
I couldn't get your ear a few times, most of the time.
Yeah.
You're too busy.
It was busy.
Yeah.
And then this year too, that's different. I know last year on the Sunday was like college, the championship game for the college guys, and so this year I think they made it fall in between where it's
the pros are going to be playing late January, right?
Yeah, but they're not going to be. It's like in between the
in between playoffs and regular season, maybe.
It's that bye week in between.
Oh, cool.
So
that's smart.
We won't have to worry about that, guys, because that's kind of a big deal. Guys get committed to that and have events at their house and things like that. And in fact, last year, I know it was the college championship because everybody who had a TV available in their booth just was streaming the game. And everybody just stopped and was watching the game the whole time.
I remember that.
Yeah. So that was kind of cool too. I mean, I was interested to see what was going on. You know, so we were kind of doing that too. So Sunday was kind of a dead day. But overall, I mean, every other day, I mean, we sold just as much as we did. Probably not as much as what we did the 2020, which was like the biggest show they ever had.
Yeah.
But in years prior to that, I would say we did just as good. And so
that's really great news.
So for us, it was really good. I think the guys who ended up going to the Long Beach show, their impression of it was maybe they didn't get to see some of the manufacturers that they were going to see at the PCS show, but they were able to go in there, get a really good deal on what they were going to get, and kind of not have to deal with like a super heavy crowd. I mean, that was one of the things that the old show, Long Beach show, had and was crazy. I mean, there was times where you couldn't walk down an aisle, and I don't think we've ever had anything like that since then.
When was this now? The old days?
The old days, yeah, Long Beach show.
But
you couldn't, you couldn't walk halfway down some of those aisles.
Brutal.
It was crazy, you know. In fact, I remember
it was almost too many people as a vendor.
I remember as a vendor, one of the things that we had some pretty strict rules on was, they didn't want you encroaching into the aisle at all. I mean, like an inch.
I know. Believe me. I got chewed out many times.
Yeah, we all did. You all kind of cheat a little bit.
Yeah.
But, I know we had a few times where before we started, the fire department was coming down. Hey, you got to move in.
Yeah.
And it was kind of one of those things where I'm sure for them it was for a safety reason. And if they let us go 6 inches, by the end of the day we were out of foot. And so I think that was something that was actually had to be done. I mean, from how those crowds were. We didn't have that this last year at Long Beach like we did, but it wasn't like it was dead. I mean, it was busy in there for sure.
Oh,
heck yeah. Really busy.
Yeah.
So I was happy with it.
And if Bart is watching, we got to get together and do a podcast here, Bart, and promote this thing, man. It's time to do it. In fact, I should do that with him, and then he should come on our live show here one night and join us live. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah. I mean,
all right, Bart.
Questions,
There you go, man. And Tyler, this is putting you on the spot tonight, so just tell me no, or think about it. If you'd like to do debut.
I got an idea for you.
Okay, he's going to come up at the end of the show maybe, and
perfect.
we'll turn it over to Tyler, and you take over for a little bit.
I'm here to help Sam sell more stuff.
All right, there you go.
All right.
We like that, man. Perfect.
Let's get him in right now.
Yeah. Yeah, really. We'll open the doors up and stay late, right? All right, very good. Let's see. Good question, by the way, Isaac. Thank you for talking about that. Jonathan Jones just read in the new Fish and Game booklet that in 2025, every boat operator will need the boater card. Oh, well.
Yeah.
I'm just reading what he said.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's something that a lot of guys already do because it lowers their insurance or something like that. I mean, from what I understand, it's not like you're getting like a captain's 100-ton license or nothing like that.
It's just basic knowledge,
I think you watch a video and it's like cost you like $10 or something. From what I understand, but I mean, I don't know. We'll have to see.
Doug Ruben El Sueño, my connection to San Diego, California. Doug, Happy New Year to you. He said the yellows are biting in La Jolla. Come on down. They are biting, man. The San Diego had 4.
Big ones, too.
They're nice fish, man. Yeah, I saw that fish and go, man, there's my thumbnail for tomorrow. It looked beautiful. So, Doug, thank you so much. Let us know. Are they biting the yo-yo iron, the surface iron? What are they doing? And, perfect. We'll put it up there in front of that camera. Doug has his boater's card. Don't move, Doug. Stay just like that for a half hour. No. There it is, the boater's card that you're all going to need. Thank you, Doug. Man, Johnny on the spot.
Yeah.
Manuel, Rob S. says manual.
Manual, I know.
Yeah. What is that? That's the manual reel, right?
Yeah.
Oh, he said you were going to say manual.
yeah.
I did too. I thought you would. Not that you have anything against. I know you don't. I don't either. But
It sounds like you do.
at my age, I'm trying to get as much exercise as is possible. Do you want me to start talking about some of the fishing, or what is all this Bubba stuff you got going on there?
Yeah.
You want to talk about Bubba?
I mean,
Who's
once
Bubba?
again, I wanted to kind of bring out some stuff, new things we have in the shop, or things maybe guys haven't seen on the show.
Yeah.
So we just started carrying a few of their products, and I mean, this is Bubba Blade. They, a lot of guys I'm sure have heard about it. They're kind of known mostly for their handles on their fillet knives, but they have a whole bunch of other tools. This is actually a pretty nice crimper,
Yeah.
4-position crimper. It'll do everything that we do here locally, up to that big stuff that guys use for the big bluefin. One of the things that I kind of like too is they have these scissors here, which I know some guys will use to like cut sardines and stuff for bait, especially for lobster fishing, and they have like a little heavier duty one.
Yes.
But if you can see here, actually you can see it on that one a little bit better. They'll come apart.
Oh,
so
right.
You can
Yeah.
clean them, and then you can also sharpen them really easy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they're kind of a multi-function style, tool where it has a serrated side. Actually has a bottle opener down there.
Jeez.
It's got a hook file here.
Bubba's on his game.
They got these retractable little cutters here. These are actually, guys have been liking them. They're a little bit, I thought they were going to be kind of expensive.
Yeah.
But when guys see them out, that's what I was looking for earlier. We had one here we've been using. I think one of the guys must have taken it home or something because it goes under your belt.
Yeah. How much is that?
$40 for that guy.
Oh, shoot.
So
Okay.
it's a little bit pricey, but
Yeah.
when you see how nice it is, and it'll cut. We tried it. It cuts 200-pound like easy.
Oh, nice.
And it'll cut small 30-pound braid too. So the whole range, anything you're gonna do as far as your rigging, it'll cut everything. And the blade itself is super heavy duty, so it won't mess up. And they even got these little kind of like braid scissors, really common. The thing I like about them is they have the larger finger holes, so really easy to manipulate. A lot of the kind of like cheap small scissors, the holes are real small and kind of hard to work with.
Yeah.
But these are really cool. Another area that these are nice that I think guys are going to like is for rod building. For cutting the thread for rod building, I think guys are going to be picking up on these too. So just some new things. I mean, definitely only a small sampling of what Bubba Blade carries or manufactures. They have a whole bunch of stuff. But we just kind of brought in some of the items that I think guys down here are going to like. We've been selling a few of the knives already. They also make here, so this is a 7-inch. They have another 7-inch. I didn't bring it up here, but it's a folding knife. So it's like a full-size fillet knife that'll fold down. So if you wanted to carry it in your backpack, you don't have to worry about having a sheath or nothing. It's not going to poke through your backpack or nothing like that. So they have a whole bunch of cool stuff. So for you guys that just want to check out something new, I know that we sold a bunch of gift cards for the holidays. You want to get something new, or maybe you got a buddy who has a boat.
Yeah.
Get them a nice fillet knife. I think most of these come with a really nice sheath as well. And so yeah, just something new for you guys to check out and spend your money here.
Yeah, exactly. Tyler's going to help you on that in a moment. In fact, I think I'm going to get out of here and put a mic on Tyler and let you two take the show for a little while.
All right.
Doug's is back. He said he got his boater's card. It only took him 4 hours. Easy.
Easy.
Simple.
Yeah.
How much did it cost?
You know what? I don't remember.
Is it
Maybe
cheap,
like
though?
$15.
$15 bucks.
Yeah, 15
But
bucks.
it's a lot of just general questions. You read a bunch pages of information.
And then they ask you some
and
questions.
They ask you some
Yeah.
questions. A lot of it doesn't pertain to, say, Southern California.
Yeah.
It's more
Ice
of
stuff.
like navigational buoys and stuff in like big waters, like maybe like the Mississippi Delta or something like that.
And I bet you there's a lot of info in there that guys just don't know about.
Yeah.
That, on a
It
busy
can only
day,
help.
it probably would be just a safety thing. Wouldn't be a bad idea. Is it something that you have to do every year, or
No, one time, one shot.
so
One
you just
time.
do it once in your life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you got your boater's card.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I think it's probably not even a bad idea just to do it anyway.
I think so. I
bet
think you're
you probably
right.
learn something. I'm
Yeah.
sure you would get the $15 back in just a simple thing. You might end up avoid getting a ticket at some point, maybe, but just by
Yeah, I think
and just be
there's a time
safe.
where, at least freshwater wise, when you enter lakes, they're gonna ask you if you have your boater's card yet. And it starts off with requiring younger boat owners to have their cards first,
Hmm.
working its way up to us old people.
Oh, okay.
And,
There you go.
I did it because I heard about it. I said, well, I'm gonna
Just get it.
get it.
Just get it. Yeah.
It's like that
not a
Real
bad
ID
idea.
thing. I went and got that thing too.
Yeah.
Have you gotten that? Yeah.
easy enough,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So get your boater's card, everybody. Man, the questions are rolling in, and I got bad news. Chicken wings are a ways off still. And actually, I'm channeling myself here. I'm the one who's thinking that way. All right, Michael Limon, hit that like button. Michael, you're the man. Thank you. Good sage advice for everybody out there. Carlos G. Carlos, good to see you, my friend. Bienvenidos a Tackle Shop Confessions. Hello, Phil and Sam. Here I am watching my favorite love show in the entire planet. Spent 5 hours at the DMV. That was not fun. Happy New Year. More info on that. Boater's card, please. Thank you. Carlos, if you need more, I think we've pretty much covered it now, and you probably asked that question before we launched into that dissertation on the boater's card, but I think we're good. Probably, if you Google boater's card, I'm sure it'll pop up, and you'll be able to, you do that all online. Yes. I'm assuming. Yeah, you do that all online. So there you go. Doug El Sueño. Doug Rubin El Sueño. Don't forget to get your fishing license before you go fishing on Wednesday. Who's going fishing on Wednesday?
No, it'll be the new year, that's why.
Oh, yeah, but we're not on the annual license
365
anymore.
now, yeah. But if
if you don't have your license,
make sure you got it.
Yeah, for sure. Good advice there. Tommy Tar wants to know. Tommy Tar is a great guy. Charlie, good to see you. Tell me about budget slow pitch jigging for local fishing, Sam.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few different brands that have some rods that are around $120 or so. I think Mustad has one. I think we might have one from, who else is it? I think Shimano, we have one there that's less than $150, I'm thinking. And as far as a reel, you don't have to get like a dedicated jigging reel. They do make some pretty nice reels out there, but if you just go with something small and narrow, like a Fathom 8 or something like that would be fine. That would probably be the most expensive part. I think those are like $230 or something like that. But you could even go with like once again, that Sea-Line 20. That Sea-Line would probably be fine. You could use that for some slow pitch jigging. They have a little bit longer handle as well, and then those are less than $150. So you can get something that's like a legitimate, that'll work real good for less than $300 for rod and reel, and that'll handle anything local for slow pitching for rockfish and even some small yellowtail.
We had a ton of guys slow pitching on our rockfish trips, and it seems like once you get into that, you're just lost. They don't want to do anything but slow pitch.
Yeah.
They're so into it. And they're having so much fun. John Garma, a bunch of guys are just totally into it.
Yeah, it's definitely kind of been like a little bit of a subculture, in the fishing world. I think that the guys who do it, they're just intrigued by the whole idea of using that style of fishing. I still feel like it's a separate tool, and at times it probably does work better. I know when you're fishing that deep water that it's kind of hard to like not look at the electric reel, but if you are going to fish a standard cranker, I think that using that jigging stuff, it's going to allow you to use a much lighter weight jig than you would maybe a sinker. A sinker normally says 16 to 24 ounces, whereas a jig you can probably get away with like 8 ounces.
Yeah.
In sometimes the same situation because you're using that skinny braid. So that part of it alone for me, the fact that I don't have to crank up a super heavy sinker,
Heck yeah,
is worth it. So I think a lot of guys are getting into it for that too. And I think that you have to kind of see it work. And I think once you either see someone have some success with it, or by now you've seen enough videos on YouTube or whatever, having some success with it, then I think guys get convinced and they try it out.
All right, perfect. Anyway, you can talk, Doug Rubin El Sueño. Anyway, you can talk to the Mexican government about getting an app for fishing Mexico and the Coronado Islands. It would be nice if we could press one button and buy our FMM and Visa and Biosphere. I know a guy. His name's Victor. He's in charge of Baja California Norte, and I'll talk to him. He invites me down to Ensenada every year when they have the big fisheries meeting, and hopefully I'll go again this year.
That'd be cool.
And I can drop him a note. I'll forward that to him, Doug, and see what he says. Real-time fishing, $10 for the state boaters card. Free online class. There you are, man.
There you go.
Cheap. You can't afford not to do it. Doug's back. Most people would buy it if they could figure it out, but sadly they make it too confusing and they're missing out on a lot of money. Pass the message along, Phil, please. Definitely, Doug. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Real-time fishing. Too bad renters of boat don't need the card. They are the worst. Yeah, I wonder why they don't.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's
Well, probably it'd be 4 hours, but they get down to the,
Yeah,
to the
really.
rental place and they'd be like, "Oh, I'm going home."
yeah, I know, really.
Yeah.
I'm out of
I
here.
only want to rent it for 2 hours.
Yeah, be patient with those people, especially when they broadside you,
Yeah.
at the bait receiver. Let's see. And once again, Doug is reiterating that the card costs $10 for the registration, but it's free if you go to the Boat US and sign up. Real Time Fishing. Happy New Year. Thank you so much, Real Fishing. Really appreciate it. Current Jam. Love you guys. Haven't seen you for a while. Good to see you here. Hello, everyone. Hope you had a wonderful Christmas and time with the family. Thank you so much. Would you guys have a lobster six-pack in San Diego? I want to take out some friends for a night of catching bugs.
Amigo.
It was San Diego. Yeah, you should come up here and go on the Amigo. I'm telling you, man, it's good. Catalina's full speed in the Amigo. Watch our video if you want to see what an entertaining night you'll have, Doug, right? Those guys are nuts out there. But at San Diego, I know the Chuck Taft is down there at H&M. They do it on one of their boats. And I'm sure there's some guys down there, but I don't know. But I highly recommend the Amigo if you wanted to do that. It's so much fun. You'll love it. And Doug Rubin sends us a $5 super chat. Doug, really, really appreciate that. Michael Limon, Sam, can you slow pitch with a knife jig?
Yeah, in fact, most of the guys that's what they're going to be using when they do that slow pitch fishing. Is going to be some type of knife jig. Yeah, that's the most common way. Those
Excellent
knife jigs,
question.
Those knife jigs are going to get down a little bit faster and a little bit easier in that current. So that's the preferred jig you're going to tie on the end of your rig.
A lot of those guys out there on Hidden Reef were dropping, man, just instantly bit.
Instant, yeah.
Dave was up in the bow doing a great job. What's Dave's last name? I can't remember. Anyway, good guy. He brought like 4 huge bags of toys for the kids in Mexico. And he was having a blast jigging up there. He caught a limit. It was really, really good. Do you feel like the quality of the fish you catch when you're slow pitching is better or not really?
Yeah, I mean, I think you avoid some of the small ones for sure.
Yeah.
I can't say you're going to catch a bigger fish than anybody else on the boat.
Yeah.
But you may not catch as many of the small ones. So, it's still catching a big fish is a little bit of luck. But I definitely feel like your average is going to be a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dan Lightfoot forgot his knife jig on the trip. I asked him, "Why aren't you jigging?" He said, "I forgot my
forgot
jig."
it. Dang.
Yeah. So he loved. Did you get limits of fish, or you caught all you wanted, right?
I caught one.
Yeah. And Nick Ramirez, talk about a guy just full of enthusiasm and love for sport fishing. That guy's a great guy.
He is great.
He's a fun guy, man.
Nice.
He had a great time, so it was good to see him there. Good question, Michael. Raul Amaraz. Phil, Sam, Happy New Year. Feliz Año Nuevo, Raul. Sam, I just bought Alexa 300 TW. What rod do you recommend?
So there's a lot of different options there. Depends on really what kind of fishing you're going to be doing with it. But that's kind of an all-around reel. Something that's going to be 8 foot, like a 15 to 30 pound would probably be about right. Definitely something that has a trigger on it. There's a lot of different brands out there, from Daiwa to Shimano to Okuma, that make a nice rod for that. But try to get something that's going to be around 8 foot. And in fact, 8 foot would be about right. Sometimes I'll make like a 710. And rated like a 15 to 30 would probably be just about perfect for that reel.
Perfect. Tyler, Anna, you guys are going to do me a favor. You're going to remind me to contact the guy in Mexico and the Mexican government, are you? Because I'm looking for a pen to write that down. But you guys are going to remind me. Thank you, Sam. Victor, Mexican government. I got it. I'm just going to abbreviate Mexico. Is that okay? There we are. GOB. All right. Current Jam. That is an amazing idea about making it easy to get your Mexican paperwork easier. The websites are not user-friendly. They are a little confusing sometimes.
Yeah.
So yeah, this would be, behoove Mexico to do it. So we'll see what we can do. Kim Herbert, Sam, look into your crystal ball for poppers next year, size-wise. Clear versus colored.
Yeah, probably same ones that have been working. That clear popper, if you're going to have one, that'd probably be the one. As far as colored, colored poppers, I haven't really seen any kind of trend out here that I would say is like, oh yeah, this is the best color or whatever. I know that in years past, guys are using that Halco Rooster popper, that 165 size, and like kind of like a yellowfin type color, something that has some yellow and some green in it. But overall, I think bar none, that clear Taco House 150 has probably been the best, most popular popper for our tuna fishing. That's probably what I would recommend. If you don't have one of those, I'd definitely get one.
All right, good stuff. Chad Christopher has an interesting observation. He says, I noticed a lot of tangles the other day on the Island Spirit were coming from the electric reel anglers, those bad electric reel people. Is having the electric reel keeping you from feeling your line and then the tangles ensue?
I wouldn't. I mean, that's not really what's going to cause it. I think that, feeling your line, you're just going to feel the tangle happen. You're not going to avoid a tangle. It isn't like
I know what Chad's saying, because Daniel says if you don't feel your sinker, if your line is slack, you're tangled. So that's where he's asking that question from.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't see that. I mean, that's going to be in your rod, and
You don't want to demonize the poor guys using electric reels tonight? Sounds like fun to me.
You were there. I don't know if you saw something in their behavior that.
I'm all, looking for a video all the time.
Yeah,
I'm not paying attention to it.
Yeah, so it's kind of hard for me to say. I wouldn't really say that an electric reel is going to cause a tangle. I couldn't see it unless the guys were using different size weights. I'm sure that there was other factors involved other than an electric reel.
I spend most of my time, trying to get content and shoot video and getting
hiding from people,
and getting punched in the nose in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going any further than that. Too funny. Whoa! Almost 60 people watching us as we move up on the new year. So is it time for me let me talk a little fishing, then we're going to have Tyler come up. And he'll sit with you for a little while because he wants somebody who knows what they're talking about. That leaves me out. So let me just rapidly go through the fishing. You can make a comment if you want or not. So long range wise, down there about 300 plus miles. Great yellowfin tuna fishing, Independence, Royal Polaris, Royal Star. Let's just say everybody.
Yeah.
They all had phenomenal days. On the beach, they're catching yellowtail. And then, of course, coming home, they'll hit the rockfish zone. So that was good. Doug El Sueño has pointed out that La Jolla's got some big yellows. The San Diego out of Seaforth had 4 yellowtail today. So that is going really, really well.
Big ones.
The Ghost out of 22nd Street Landing, Sean Roberts, rumored to sleep with white sea bass heads at night. Yes, he's really into them. And he had some white sea bass and halibut. He's going to be chasing me around with a fillet knife at the landing.
Have you seen that boat?
I walked by, but I haven't gone down and looked at it. It looks nice.
Yeah.
Did you go look at it?
No, I knew the previous owner.
Oh, really?
Had seen that boat. Yeah.
It's a Hatteras, right?
No, it's a Radovich.
Oh, okay.
Oh, super. I mean, that thing could probably fish Guadalupe. It's really nice.
Really?
Boat. Yeah.
I glanced at it walking into the studio down there, and it looked nice. It looked big.
It's bigger than it sounds, for sure. It's a really, really nice boat.
Yeah, and all.
For a six-pack, it's awesome.
Did you go see it, or when you were down there, you looked at it?
Not in person, but
It's like a 34-foot Radovich or something like that. Yeah, that thing's, huge bait capacity, huge fuel capacity, huge everything. It's a really, really nice. Probably one of the nicer 6-pack boats out there.
And say what you want about Sean. Who would say anything? Why did I say that?
What do you want to say?
I don't know. Dan was talking about him the other day.
You said say what you want.
That guy, day in and day out, catches fish.
Especially that sea
He's
bass.
a really good fisherman, man. He fishes hard. So there you go. He's down there at 22nd Street. So we had that. The El Patron had good lingcod fishing. We had great fishing out on Hidden Reef. We saw orcas. What else? Is there anything I'm missing?
Twilight?
What about twilight fishing? Thank you. New Delmar. Earl McVicker. You know Earl. Mm-hmm. He was out. Earl the Pearl was out. Holding up a bass. I ran his photo today. So good to see Earl out there doing his thing. It's friggin' wintertime, dead of winter. And pretty darn good fishing, man.
Pretty good. Bait everywhere. That sardine seems like it'd be strong down there. A bunch of anchovy, that squid everywhere. We kind of have everything right now set up for next year. I mean, you always talk about it's coming. I think next year it might be really, really good.
The halibut, sea bass, with all that bait.
Starting right out, the May the Sun, I'm pretty sure those guys are going to score right away.
Yeah, I do too. I think so. There's been some decent halibut scores already. Who else? Somebody else had some, I think the Pride recently had some halibut and stuff, so it's been good. Tyler, you want to come up here? And I'm going to turn it over and get out of the way here. Tyler, it is Tips with Tyler. Is that what it is?
whatever you want.
Tips with Tyler. Anna, this is a proud moment for you. Make sure you videotape or take photos. Let me put this thing on you.
Go through for chicken wings.
Yeah, really.
I'll be
Next
quick.
time, let's just hit Jack in the Box.
Some good
Dad.
chicken wings.
Tyler, take over. I'll be back in a little bit.
I'll be quick.
All right.
because I guess I'm the one standing in between us and chicken wings.
Yeah, now you are. He put you in that
Thanks a
position.
lot.
Yeah. What's the flavor?
The Buffalo Gold.
Buffalo Gold.
Yeah.
Buffalo Gold. Well, hello everybody. I'm Tyler Tanaka. I grew up out here in Southern California, actually fishing out of Port Hueneme a lot, out of Cisco's. I grew up in Thousand Oaks and then moved to Orange County and ran into a great group of guys who charter the Mission Bell all the time, who then got me fishing out of the San Diego fleet and going to Cedros every year. So I had the privilege of fishing with Sam at Cedros on his charter. I was at Cedros 3 times, 3 different trips this year. 5 bluefin trips, a bunch of day and a halves, 2.5 days. So I don't know everything about fishing. I like to just be a student, and I've got a ton of gear. And so Phil thought it would be a good idea that you've got Sam's amazing professional opinion as a tackle shop owner and an enthusiast, of course, too. And you've got a second guy that just loves to buy a lot of stuff and try a lot of stuff and experiment. And so one of the things that I really like to do is I like to experiment with tackle a lot, and was probably ahead of the curve. I guess maybe it's in my blood being half Japanese. I try a lot of weird stuff, try to stay up with trends coming out of Australia, what guys are using in New Zealand, what they're doing in Japan, and was slow pitching way before slow pitching was a thing and got as popular as it did. So Phil suggested that I give a couple of tips, and I figured I would do it relative to the type of fishing that's going on right now. It's winter, it's still rockfish, even though the season is sort of closing but opening back up. I didn't want to talk about throwing surface iron when 4 yellowtail are being caught at the islands right now, which is still amazing.
Yeah.
They just landed,
Yeah.
if they're hunting, if you go down to the islands right now, they're still catching yellowtail, which is amazing.
Well, that was even at La Jolla, the kelp beds there. Which
Exactly.
Is like a half-day boat.
Yesterday,
Yeah.
there was guys at La Jolla catching yellowtail, which is amazing. So anyways, I figured, some fishing tips with Tyler. And so one thing that I am a huge, huge fan of are the Nomad squid tracks. And so this is the 150. This is the largest size up until the latest release of the trolling version of the squid tracks that just came out. So when I say the largest, I'm not talking about the biggest.
They have that giant one, yeah.
Yeah, this is the 150 size, which is 150 millimeters, not the weight. I think these are about 4.5 ounces, I think, if memory serves me right.
Yeah, 135 grams.
135 grams.
4 and 3/4
Okay, yeah,
ounces,
so
yeah.
4 3/4 ounces. And these are my 2 favorite colors. This is the Orange Tiger and the Straight Glow. And if there's one squid tracks to get, I recommend going with the Straight Glow, just because it is, in my opinion, the most versatile. You're not buying a color that is dependent upon where you're fishing. Everything eats squid, and a little bit of glow at depth is awesome. So one thing I wanted to make sure and point out is the reason why this is so great is when you rig it up to do bottom fishing, you literally can catch every species. Halibut, sea bass, I got my personal best 38-pound yellowtail on this at Cedros, which was like a freak accident. I was going for white sea bass, and a wolf pack of yellowtail came through, and it was on this exact lure, 150 glow. But there's 2 things you have to keep in mind. One is 4 3/4 ounces is not enough to get it down to do rock fishing depth. You'll be waiting for a year before it gets down to 350 feet. So what I do is I do a second set of assist hooks, and I put them on the bottom ring. So I just use like a standard number 5. I'll use a standard number 5 size split ring from Owner, and I'll attach a set of assist hooks with flash on the bottom, and then I'll take just a 20-pound line of mono and I'll tie it to the bottom O-ring, and then just do a loop. And so I'll do an overhand loop so that I can thread the mono loop through whatever weight size you want, and then you can change it out. So you're not retying your weight, you're just putting a loop over and around the eyelet. So if if you're scoping out, change it from a 12 ounce to a 16. If you're scoping out, hang 2 12s. And so you can just drop your squid treks down and get down. So you've basically got a weight hanging below the squid treks. And the awesome thing is you're always going to have bait in the tank, and there's always going to be squid strips and frozen squid on a rockfish boat. So what I'll do is I'll take either a cut piece of sardine or anchovy or a small little squid strip, and I'll put it on the front assist hooks. I will outfish guys using every single thing on the boat. And it's this combination of the squid strip plus a sardine, or I'll do a nose hook, a live bait, and then plus you've got the squid shape and lure design. It's amazing. Give it a try.
There's some squid scent on there already too.
Exactly,
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
has impregnated squid scent
Yeah,
inside the lure. But you don't ever have to worry about re-rigging either, because you're tying to the top split ring. So if you need to change it, you just take your split ring pliers, change it out. And so the way that I like to fish with all my jigs is I tie to a solid ring to a split ring, and then every jig I use, I just am changing my split ring. I'm never retying unless the line gets damaged. And you can quick change everything you want. So give these squid treks a try for rockfish, for bottom fish, for whatever you're fishing. White sea bass strips, halibut, everything bites these things, and it's amazing. And the reason why I put on, I prefer the Nomad assist hooks. I think you're just out right now.
The smaller, I have some
The
of the
smaller
bigger
ones?
ones. Yeah, yeah.
So I use the XL Nomad, and they have a flash on it. And the reason is when the fish are coming up, they're not always taking a tentacle strike, a head strike. A lot of the times, depending on the current and the way that it's moving, they're coming up and they're getting the body of the squid. And so the second assist hooks that you put to the bottom ring, it guarantees a hookup. Like, I've never had short strikes. You'll always, and then the great thing with rock fishing is you'll get doubles of big reds. So you'll get a hookup on the bottom set of assist hooks, and you'll get a hookup where your squid strips are. And so you're bringing up 2 awesome reds at the same time, which is
That I've seen
which is
before,
really
yeah.
great. Okay, so squid treks, tip number 1.
Now with these, one of the things too that right away you'll notice is how hard it vibrates. You wouldn't think that, it's just a lure. I mean, but it's going to be a very visible. You're going to almost fool yourself if you're not paying attention in the beginning. You're going to think you're getting bit.
Yeah, because of the action to the line.
So you got to really feel it kind of like load up. But that action will actually feel like a bite. It'll feel like a bite from like a small whitefish or something, like a really small bite. So don't get fooled. This thing has a lot of action, and it's going to feel like you're getting a bite before you get a bite.
Yeah, in Australia, this is actually classified by Nomad as a vibe lure. So it will shimmy on the way down if you're in shallow water, and when you're lifting the rod, you'll feel it vibrate through the line, like
Pretty
really,
dramatic.
really
Especially
good
with braid
action.
and all that stuff. It
Exactly.
transmits that.
And the way to fish this is to not fish it. Just dead stick it. And I've gotten way more bites dead sticking it than I have by actively fishing in deep water.
Yeah.
Because by the time you're moving your rod, you've got 300 feet of line out. If you just dead stick it, the rocking of the boat is great. It's plenty. But I do actively fish these in shallow water for things like yellowtail or bottom species. Sheep's head. If you're ever in a sheep's head spot and you're dropping over a rock, man, these will crush the sheep's head. They do fantastic. And then you just change out whatever weight you want to get it down.
Yeah, you should have that in your box anyway.
Exactly.
Probably the one thing too is that because fishing it that way is, since you're not kind of like jigging it, is maybe let it sit, like let's say 5 cranks off the bottom, and then you might try like 10 cranks off the bottom.
Exactly.
Because there's times where even that rockfish, even though we associate it with being on the bottom, sometimes some of the bigger fish are suspended. Sometimes as much as 40, 50 feet up. And so that's something you may want to kind of like monitor is try that. And you'll find that once you find them, at that, let's say 40 feet off the bottom depth, that's kind of where they're at.
Exactly.
So the next drop, you'll just drop down to the bottom, give it maybe, however many cranks that was, you kind of want to keep track of that. And if you go back to that same position, you'll probably get another bite at the same depth.
And don't be surprised too that when you get a call to wind them up by the captain, as soon as you put in 2 or 3 cranks, you're going to get hammered.
Yeah.
They're going to come up and react to that squid fleeing off of the bottom, regardless of whether it's 10 feet off the bottom or 40. I've gotten a lot of really good hookups, especially with things like sheepshead or halibut coming up and actually taking the lure as you're cranking it off the bottom. So
I could see that.
yeah, so don't sleep on the squid treks. And there's an awesome display over here with a whole bunch of squid
We got a
treks.
bunch,
So
yeah.
get them while they're here. So then I wanted to talk about some slow pitch jigs too. And I am a huge fan of the flat fall. And this was all the rage for bluefin tuna back when people weren't fishing things like knife jigs. It was the only jig. They're like, hey, I need this jig, and these guys are catching bluefin at night using flat falls. But flat falls are great for targeting a specific depth. And so if you can be patient getting it down, like like this is a 300-gram glow. The great thing is when you use a flat fall in conjunction with a slow pitch rod, if you've matched your slow pitch weight to the lure depth and weight, when you're flicking your slow pitch, you're going to get a massive range of action because you don't have a knife jig sinking straight back down through the strike zone. And so I get a lot of strikes off of leaf-styled slow pitch jigs, but you have to be patient getting it down.
Yeah, it does take a little longer. And if you're kind of in a fast drift type of situation, you're gonna definitely need to go up to the bow and cast off the bow so that you can scope down as you're walking back. But the one thing that this lure does is that because it does flutter, is that when you if you can get down to the depth and you're still vertical and you're able to fish, is that when you do jig it and you do pitch, it's gonna have way more action, way more horizontal action than the knife jigs that we've kind of gotten used to.
Exactly. And so if you've got a really good slow pitch rod matched up to the right lure, you're going to get a chance to get it on the up. And then because of the way that the flat fall is designed, you get a lot of strikes, obviously, on the fall. It's a flat fall. So it's designed to get bit on the sink versus a lot of knife jigs, which you're really getting them on the retrieve, right? The fleeing bait fish action. Which brings me to a nomad lure called the Ridgeback. And this is a great lure that not a lot of people know about and not a lot of people fish. And the reason why it's great is because it gets down fast, but it has an angled cut on the nose of the lure, which is this ridge back. So when you sweep your rod up on your slow pitch, what happens is the lure will shoot up and the water will catch on that angle, and it shoots the lure hard to the left or hard to the right in the water column.
Stay over there, man.
Not really.
And then when you put slack in the line, it will have a really erratic action falling back down. So a lot of people look at it and they're like, well, this is a weird lure and I don't hear anybody talking about this. So inside scoop, I've got a lot of fish, really, really good sized fish on the Ridgeback. It's great because again, it's shaped fast on the sink, but it has a weird erratic action on the retrieve.
Yeah, our guys
on
have
the
had some good luck on it. I know that, like you said, it's not something that guys look at a lot too. And the one thing too, when you are doing this, if you guys go and do a search on it, there is different Ridgebacks. So there's a Ridgeback long cast.
casting, yeah, not
So
that
that's
one.
a different lure, and you're going to see that the weights don't go heavy enough. Where this is a Ridgeback deep jig series, so this is going to be a different series. So as you're doing that search, just make sure you're looking at the larger, more vertical jig type situation.
Yep, and so all kinds of species, really good. So if you're in somewhat shallow water, again, sheep's head and all kinds of fish, I've caught yellowtail on them coming up the bottom, slow pitching, like in the same type of water that guys would be throwing a yo-yo down. You could throw one of these down and use a slow pitch setup, and then again, come up a little bit, drop it back down, make your pumps. So you gotta, it works the water column really well. Another lure similar is the Tatty Hybrid. This is another jig that not a lot of guys use. It might be getting a little bit more popular now.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a lure that I think that because it doesn't have the large marketing budget that some of the other brands do, you just don't see it advertised quite as much. But I would put it in the same category as, you know, like the Mustad, you know, jig there that you're going to show. I think that Mustad jig definitely gets a lot more press. Just, you know, it's just out there a lot more, and Mustad's just got a bigger budget for that. But this hybrid lure, I think, is kind of a nice lure. It's kind of an in-betweener.
Exactly. And so one of the tips here on this, since we're talking about it for a variety of species, is this Tatty Hybrid is really good when like bluefin or keat on smaller bait. I had really good success this year using lures that were shaped like this. Also the Daiwa TGs, which is the tungsten. Now we're getting into like a totally different subject, which is bluefin fishing. But this Tatty Hybrid is really good. And the hooks that come with this Tatty Hybrid are perfectly fine for using for rockfish. As soon as you stop fishing for rockfish, you need to stop using these assist hooks. They're not strong enough for bluefin, and I really wouldn't use them for yellowtail either. But perfectly good for rockfish. Tie them on. You can use them on the bottom, and they work great. And again, the reason is that the shape of this lure is it goes down fast enough, but it has enough of a profile to give you flutter to get bit on both the retrieve as well as in your slack line going down. And then last one was somebody asked a really good question about can you just slow pitch with knife jigs? So I wanted to bring over one of my favorites, which is the Mustad. This color is my #1 producer if I use a knife jig for bluefin tuna. They say that color doesn't matter. I've personally found, though, that this red polka dot glow has outfished guys standing next to me. I've outfished guys standing next to me where it was a tough bite, and it worked great. And again, same thing, this Mustad profile, it has enough of a ridge in it where it's got some action versus some of the other knife jigs that might not.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. You know, I mean, you know, when we get down to it, sometimes, you know, we've had many days or many weeks where, you know, the Eddie bomb, you know, kind of like, hey, that catches fish better than anything. But I will say that specific jig in like that 350 to 500 size, more often than not, if I was going to choose a jig that, you know, I had a customer come back after a trip and say, oh man, I got my best fish, I would say almost half the time it was on that Mustad rip roller in that red polka dot. I mean, that has been probably the one jig that, you know, every year we have a new jig. You know, it was the Daiwa, you know, jigs. You know, it was the West Coast jiggers. It was the Nature Boys. Every jig seems like it's had its year where it was like, oh man, you have this, you have this. That jig right there, I think, has survived the longest through that. You know, I think that jig has been a good producer of bluefin. Mostly that's kind of what we're using them for. But bluefin, I would say the last 4 or 5 years, that red rip roller has been probably the most consistent.
Yeah, and you can't see it in the package, but the backside of this lure is not red with polka dots. It's actually this, it's actually this iridescent silver, and then it's glow on the outside of the lure. Again, I don't know, but man, there's just something that this jig is a super performer. And I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars of wiggle riders. I got it all in my jig box. I've tried them all, and I use them obviously for different purposes. So during the daytime, my go-to would be a wiggle rider for speed jigging. I love it. I think it's great. But man, at night, this is great. But I still have caught way more fish this year on an Eddie bomb. So even that being said, when I was lucky enough to have, you know, a 100-pounder and there was only 4 on the boat caught that trip, you know, it was like rough fishing. It was on an Eddie bomb.
The one thing I could
So-
say is this is just a theory, a possibility. I mean, it's hard to know exactly what fish are thinking, but because of the tackle that we're using, these are knife jigs, and they're designed to be used with knife fishing tackle. A narrow reel with light line and a skinny rod, and so there's definitely some design that was intended as to how it was going to be presented and what kind of tackle you're going to use. On the West Coast, we're not using any of that
Exactly.
to a great degree. We're using rail rods with a Macaira 30, heavy line, usually 100 or 130 pound line. And so the one thing I could say is maybe even the friction of the line going through the water and even the resistance of the heavier spool that has a bunch of line, 600, 700 yards of line, I bet you that has some type of influence on the lure and how it's sinking. So it could be that lure is just kind of conducive
Yeah.
to that tackle.
That's true.
Maybe a guy who's using like the real deal jigging gear is going to do better with a different jig. Maybe another jig that will use that gear better.
Yeah, great point.
So I think sometimes the way that it's matched up is probably the reason. And for some reason, that Mustad rip roller just seems to pair well with that type of gear.
Yeah, great point. Yeah, and same thing. The hooks, the assist hooks that this
that
come
one,
with,
yeah.
fine for rockfish. And in fact, this exact lure is used all the time, like in Florida for standard reef
reef fish.
fishing.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly, and it does great. As soon as you take this out of rockfish or reef fish, you got to replace these and go to standard big HD owner with the flash is my preferred.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
anyways, those are 4 lures. And then real quick, to talk about rods and reels, there's a huge variety of reels that work perfectly fine for slow pitch. Like even Torium with the power handle, it works great. You don't need to go to these fancy, super expensive, Japanese domestic market only reels. In fact, one of my favorite things to slow pitch with is a Tranx 400 because it's a level wind and it just makes the whole experience way, way better. You don't have to worry about stacking line perfectly. It's got plenty of drag. It fights fish great. It's super to use. I use a Phoenix slow pitch. I've got Shimano, a variety of Shimano rods that are super expensive and everything in between. But that level wind is really nice on the Tranx 400. Osha Jigger is my favorite slow pitch reel. And then I have a Phoenix slow pitch too that's great because from the factory it comes acid wrapped. And that, you can't beat that when you get something from the factory. And one thing about line, you do not need as heavy a braid as you think you need for slow pitch. It's the opposite. What you want to do is you want to have the lowest pound braid that you possibly can, and then just match your leader strength to what you think is going to match up for the fish that you're catching.
Yeah.
So if you're slow pitching for yellowtail, it's perfectly fine to have 40 pound braid and then put on a 50 pound leader of mono. It's the opposite of what we do normally on the
Live
West
bait
Coast.
fishing. Yeah,
exactly.
especially for live bait fishing. Yeah, that's the opposite. Yeah.
We go light on the backing, and in slow pitch jigging, the real way to go is light on your braid, heavy on your leader.
Yeah.
It's the opposite.
Yeah,
Of what they're doing in Australia and Japan and New Zealand and
I mean, the more that I've done it, I'm just barely kind of getting my feet wet in this whole thing too. Is especially the experience that I've had more experience in doing some of the yellowtail fishing, and using that 40 pound braid, no problem. And what that does also is it does provide better action for the lure. It kind of matches with the rod better, but also it allows me to use a much smaller reel. And so I think that part of it is kind of just more comfortable. Also, too, is if you have the right reel, like he was mentioning the Torium with the power gear, you're gonna find that even some of these more modern, smaller reels, they still have a big crank. It isn't like you're using a squidder or something like that that's got the tiny little handle. A lot of these newer reels, they have a pretty large handle and even knob, and so it's actually pretty comfortable and almost, in a way, almost was designed as a jigging reel, but we're using it as live bait. But it doesn't have some of the features that some of the jigging reels do. But overall, like he's saying, is that we don't have to get that specific design jigging reel. I think they are nicer, they are smoother. Some of them are really, really nice. But if you're just trying to get your feet wet, that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm not really using a whole lot of that. My big reel is that Osha Jigger 4000, but I'm using other smaller reels for jigging, and so far they've been working fine.
Yeah, Yeah. Use what you got too.
Yeah.
Right? Go
Yeah,
out
yeah.
and experiment, learn. And then back to the braid diameter. This is really important, and I can't stress this enough. It's just like if you were going out fishing for bluefin. The guy who gets down first and is vertical is going to get the hookup. As soon as you scope out, you are out of the game. No bluefin is going to bite a scoped out lure. It's not looking right, it's not behaving right, and you're away from the fish because the captain's marking fish under the boat. And you want the fish that are stuck to the boat. The reason why that low diameter braid is so important is the difference between 40-pound braid and 65-pound braid. It doesn't look like it, but it will make your bait get down through the water. The friction on the water is so much higher on a 65-pound braid versus a 40-pound braid or 50-pound braid. So.
Just by volume, you're going to put that much more line on your reel. So, it just says that it's that much thinner. So if you're getting 30% more line on your reel, then it's 30% thinner.
Yeah.
It's just physics. It's not no magic involved there. There's no marketing, so you're going to know right away if your reel has 400 yards of 65 now, and you put some 40-pound on there, and now it takes 700 yards. Just do the math. It's that much thinner. So it does make quite a difference, especially when we're talking about trying to get down there with less weight. Now you can just throw on a 500-gram jig and get down there, but more often than not, your rod's not going to be heavy enough. Not really designed for that kind of jigging. And honestly, it's what we do with some of these rail rods. We just throw the biggest jig we can throw on there, the biggest eddy bond we can throw on there, and it works because you're using a rail rod.
Yeah.
But when you're using proper jigging gear, you really want to match it to the size for the rod, and that might be 100 grams or 150 grams, maybe 200 grams on the heavy side.
Exactly.
And so it's a much different kind of deal to make that all work right. So it's a little bit more on the advanced side of this year, but I think that's something to consider as well. Getting that lighter braid. Maybe just start off by just doing it when you're rock fishing. Even if you're just fishing a dropper loop with 2 hooks, you'll notice that even in that scenario, if you go to a 30-pound braid, and normally on that reel you might have 80-pound braid, just cut off about 100 yards of that braid and then splice on some 30-pound, and you're going to notice that you're going to be able to get down with half the weight, if not even less. Fishing the same situation. We're not changing anything else. We're not changing your rod or your reel or your jigs or nothing like that. Just fishing the same 2-hook dropper loop situation. You'll be able to get down and fish vertically with probably half the weight.
Yeah, that vertical presentation is the important part, right? Just making sure that you're not scoping away from the boat, getting in the current. So, again, that first down with the best presentation is, it really, the line diameter really makes a big difference.
It does.
So,
Alrighty.
yeah, that's what I got.
Covers us there. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Wow, that was absolutely fantastic.
Good to see
Star
you.
is born.
Do you have
Man.
any questions on our presentation?
Man, that
Yeah.
was fantastic. You screwed yourself.
Are there
You're part
any?
of the team now, Tyler.
Great.
Tips
Yeah.
with Tyler,
And-
man. That
and
was
all available at
Yeah.
Island Fishing Tqckle, phone, store, all inside. I grabbed all these things off of the shelf, so you got everything here,
It's all
right, Sam?
good. Yeah, we got it all.
And one thing I want to make clear is you had no time to prepare. I sprung it on you during the live show. You did a fabulous job. And Dan was showing me, people are chiming in and they loved it.
Oh, great.
So you're hired, man. You're awesome.
Well, if there's any questions, find me on Instagram.
No, actually, come over to SoCal Wings tonight.
Yeah.
In Carson. Have a chicken wing with
If there's any
us.
questions, give it to Sam and Phil, and we'll find another topic.
Yeah. Are you coming next week?
I'll be in Tennessee.
We'll figure it out.
I'll be
Yeah.
in Tennessee, but I'll be back on the 13th.
Okay, perfect. Perfect.
Fly from Tennessee every
Yeah.
Monday.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to pop my head in on a
Tyler,
Zoom call.
Tyler, you could not have done better, man. What a debut. Awesome. Thank you. I was sitting over there enjoying that, man. That was great.
Mesmerized.
You were the one who said Tyler would be great, and he
Yeah.
was fantastic. All right. Thank you so much. His daughter's here. Man, now we're really going to celebrate. All right. Let me see. We've got some comments about his
All about how
presentation.
you get rid of this guy.
Yeah,
here,
it
bring
is
on
pretty
Tyler.
much. Yeah, they're right. Cool granddaddy. That's my friend Abe. Oh, darn. You better watch it, Phil. Sam and Tyler are looking like a great new and improved tackle shop confessions.
Pretty
Abe.
low bar, but yes.
Abe, what? Shouldn't worry. I'm sure they will keep you around the voice and looks. Yeah, I'm sure they will. That was a great presentation. Yeah. Yeah, I can sit on the bucket.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there. I should sit there now. Let Tyler sit up here. That's good stuff. Chris Navarro. Chris is going to come down here and barbecue some meat one of these nights, but we got to have a barbecue
He's
here.
a barbecuer for sure.
Yeah. Chris said, late to the show, I've caught more fish on the Shimano butterfly jig and the Daiwa SK than other jigs I've used combined. Colt Sniper is right behind them. Gregory Wilson should make this a regular segment on the show. Gregory, I couldn't agree with you more. Tyler did just a fantastic job. Not really beyond my wildest expectations, because you can tell just talking to Tyler that he's going to be really good. But he did a fabulous job. Having guests come in and talk about different types of fishing techniques, Tyler's info is really great and informative, as well as you guys. Thank you, Gregory. I couldn't agree more. Tyler is a great addition to Tackle Shop Confession, says Sniper Gene. You are so right. Steve says, throw Tyler in every Tackle Shop Confession with Sam and Phil. Ha ha. I agree, man. He's great. Jeff Fuchs says, Sam, have you used Dan Hernandez's Magic Metals? Before I have used them, and they have been an awesome lure. The red and white is a great one. Dan Hernandez.
Yeah, I think that's just like a heavy Colt Sniper style jig, and I know they're known for using them in a lot of those rockfish situations. I know Dan's been doing a lot of videos for a lot of years, and he usually will kind of highlight those. And so, yeah, I would agree. I don't think I have any here. I personally haven't used them, but I know on his videos he's had really, really good success with them.
Dan Hernandez has been in this business a long time.
Long time.
Like what, 40 years or something?
I would guess.
Ever
yeah,
since I've been around. So
I remember a kid watching them on TV. Yeah.
All right. There's your plug, Dan, for tonight. Calico Chris, thank you guys so much for all your hard work and dedication to the world of sport fishing. I've learned numerous techniques from you guys, and I'm very proud to call you guys family. Happy New Year. Same to you, Chris, and what an addition. What a great job, Tyler. One more time. I'm dead serious. That was so good. Chris Navarro says, good job. Chris Navarro says, did Michael get replaced? No. Where is Michael? Where'd he go?
He's right in front of you.
Yeah. Hey, Doug Rubin's actually reading my mind. He said, Phil, now you can go on vacation. Yeah. Hey, Sam, Tyler, take over for a couple of weeks. Chris says, hello, boys. Happy New Year from CCA, right?
CCA, Chris, yeah.
Chris, good to see you, my friend. Keep doing all the great things you're doing with CCA for all the anglers here in California. You guys are awesome. Chris Navarro, Sam, I am. Get a shop grill. Got to feed the animals. What do you say? I think that's it.
All right.
What do you think? Anna, do we have your permission to end this show?
Chicken wings.
Chicken wings. And Chris Navarro throws us
There you go.
a $20 bill. Thank you so much, Chris, for the super chat. We really, really appreciate that. Well, it's been a great show. And
Year.
we got a new segment, man, the end of the year. Happy New Year, everybody. Sam, why don't you tell everybody where you're located, and they can come in and see you tomorrow, right?
Yeah, tomorrow we'll be here from 10 to 2, so we'll be here for a half a day. Phone number is 310-707-1205. We're at 21809 Avalon Boulevard in the city of Carson. We're just off the 405 between the 710 and the 110.
All right, you got to love. Tyler said thanks to everybody out there. Oh, earthquake. Did you feel that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
was
Is that
rough.
you
That was a
hitting the
big one.
camera? You're supposed to be.
That was a big
Time
one.
as last week.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is it, man? Whoa. Whoa. Some guy freaked out when I did that last week.
Yeah,
He sent me a
you told
message,
me. Yeah.
and he said,
What
that
was that?"
scared me, man. I thought there was an earthquake going on. Tyler says, great show, and thanks everybody out there. Carlos She says, Tyler needs to be on the show more often. What a presentation. El trio más famoso del sur de California. 100%. David Alcantara says, what a great show. Thank you so much. Tyler, once again, thank you so much for the great presentation tonight. Chris Navarro did Halibut Man break wind again. Maybe he did. He's not here tonight. Thanks, everybody. Hit that like button. I'll be on the beach down there tomorrow morning, bright and early, dodging giant surf. Looking forward to it, and we'll have Tyler back really, really soon. In the meantime, go Irish. Beat Georgia. We'll see you back here next Monday on Tackle Show.
Maybe. We'll see.
We'll check on that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sam.
You got it, man.
All right. Thank you, Tyler. And thank you, everybody. We're out of here, Michael.